What if the center of the Earth wasn't solid? What if it was hollow, filled with glowing oceans, forgotten cities, prehistoric monsters, and one very unlucky duck? In 1959, Journey to the Center of the Earth took audiences on the most chaotic, unscientific, absolutely unhinged expedition ever put on screen. This is the story of how one professor, one student, one widow, and one duck made it to the center of the planet, and somehow came back alive. Meet Professor Oliver Lindenbrook, respected geology professor in Edinburgh, slightly eccentric, absolutely brilliant, and currently losing sleep over a rock. Not just any rock, a lava rock, one that shows up unexpectedly, hides a secret message inside, and casually rewrites everything science thought it knew about the Earth. Most professors would log it, publish a paper, and get back to yelling at grad students. But not Lindenbrook. He goes full mad scientist. Chalkboard obsession, red yarn on the wall, zero sleep, maximum conspiracy. Because this isn't just a rock, it's a map. A map to something buried deep beneath our feet, something impossible. But Lindenbrook's not jumping into a volcano alone. He recruits Alec, one of his students. Young, idealistic, wildly underpaid. The kid's all in. He actually believes in the theory, which is both adorable and deeply concerning. Together, they plan an expedition everyone else says is scientific suicide. Career-ending stuff. Laughingstock tier. But it's the 1800s, and geology is still basically a guessing game with pickaxes. Most people think the Earth is just solid rock. No caves, no oceans, no breathable air down there. But Lindenbrook doesn't care what most people think. He's betting everything on a journey to the center of the Earth. Lindenbrook makes one mistake, a big one. He shares his discovery with another scientist, Professor Göteborg, thinking, hey, academic integrity. But Göteborg isn't interested in integrity. He's interested in glory and sabotage. He steals the idea, packs a bag, and races off to Iceland to make the journey himself. Lindenbrook finds out and immediately gives chase. He and Alec head to Iceland to stop Göteborg from hijacking the greatest discovery in history. But Göteborg plays dirty. When they arrive, he kidnaps them. Locks them in a cellar. Problem solved, right? Wrong. Enter Hans Bjelke, a local Icelandic guide with a quiet stare, solid instincts, and a duck named Gertrude. He breaks them out like it's just another Tuesday. Göteborg, however, doesn't get far. Days later, he turns up dead. Cyanide crystals in his beard, not a great look. That's when Carla shows up, Göteborg's widow. And she's not here to grieve. She's here to join the expedition. Turns out, her late husband left behind detailed notes on the path down, and Carla wants in. She's sharp, determined, and just the kind of wild card this team didn't know it needed. Now, it's game on. They descend into the volcano, tight passages, toxic air, and the constant threat of being flambéed by the Earth's core. Rock falls, dead ends, tunnels collapsing behind them. But somehow they press on, one calculation, one narrow escape, and one stubborn duck at a time. Early in the descent, Carla finally says what everyone's thinking. "Do you even know what you're doing?" She's scared, still mourning her husband. And now she's following a man into the literal crust of the Earth, based on a rock and a hunch. But Lindenbrook doesn't dodge the question. He tells her the truth. It's not about fame or revenge or proving the scientific community wrong. It's about curiosity, the kind that kept humans staring at the stars and wondering what's beneath our feet. What is the Earth really made of? What secrets are hiding below us? And suddenly, Carla gets it. He's not reckless. He's driven. From that moment on, she's not just along for the ride. She's part of the team, committed, focused. Even Gertrude the duck starts waddling with a little extra purpose, like she caught the vibe. As they go deeper, the group adapts fast. Supplies are rationed. Rock formations get read like maps. Trust builds. Alec steps up under pressure. Hans stays calm and unshakable. Lindenbrook gains confidence with every confirmation of Saknussemm's ancient notes. And below the Earth's crust, they find things no scientist ever predicted. Massive crystal caverns, drinkable underground streams, glowing mineral chambers. Gertrude becomes the glue holding it all together. A waddling little morale booster, surviving cave-ins and toxic gas with the chill of a veteran explorer. They're not just surviving anymore, they're exploring. The further they descend, the weirder and more dangerous things get. Then they find it, a vast underground chamber glittering with crystal. Walls like diamonds, light bouncing everywhere. For once it's quiet, peaceful, almost sacred. At the bottom, warm pools of water, heated by the Earth's core, invite a moment of rest. Lindenbrook, Hans, and Carla take the rare luxury of a break, slipping into the water. Alec heads off to refill their supply, and that's when it all unravels. The water fetcher slips through a small hole in the crystal floor. Alec follows, thinking it'll just take a second. But inside that maze of jagged reflections and refracted light, Alec gets disoriented. He's lost. Every direction looks the same. Back in the chamber, Lindenbrook breaks off a piece of crystal, something to bring back, proof of what they found. And the moment he does, cracks. The walls shudder. Water pours in from every direction. What felt like paradise turns into a death trap. They scream for Alec. No answer. Just echo. The water rises fast. They climb, slipping on crystal, grasping at anything. They spot a narrow hole in the ceiling, the only way out. Then, just in time, Alec stumbles back into view, soaked, panicked, alive. They pull themselves through the opening, gasping, drenched, but still breathing. The crystal chamber disappears below them, swallowed by rising water. Lesson learned. Never relax in a volcano. Alec has no idea what just happened. 1 minute he's fetching water. The next, the entire cavern is flooding behind him. Now he's alone, wandering the tunnels, yelling into the darkness. "Professor Lindenbrook!" His voice bounces back, distorted, swallowed by echo after echo. He keeps walking, heart pounding louder with each step. Then he sees it. A narrow stone bridge stretched over a bottomless black chasm. He starts across, slowly, and the stone shifts beneath him. Crumbles. He stumbles, nearly falls, grabs the edge just in time. Breath caught, knees shaking. On the other side, a new chamber opens up. Hot gases hiss from every crevice. The air burns in his throat. The floor, covered in thick, glistening salt. He steps forward, drops his pack to rest. And that's when he notices. The salt is moving, swirling, sinking. It starts pulling his things downward, slow at first, then faster. He reaches for them, tries to grab his gear, but the ground's giving way beneath him. And then he slips. Everything disappears. Alec falls through the earth. Hard landing, but he's still alive. Alone. Lost. No idea what's waiting next. Back in the flooded tunnels, Lindenbrook is still searching. He shouts Alec's name again and again, his voice echoing uselessly through the stone. Water drips. Shadows stretch. No answer. Then they find the broken bridge. Lindenbrook calls out one last time. Nothing. Carla gently takes his arm. "He's lost," she says quietly. "We can't stop. We have to keep moving." It's the hardest call they've made so far. They leave the bridge behind, knowing Alec is somewhere below them, alive or not, but unreachable. And the earth doesn't pause for grief. The tunnels ahead are just as dangerous as the ones behind. Meanwhile, Alec stumbles through the dark alone. Then he freezes. Someone's standing in the tunnel ahead of him. A man, holding a long spear. It's Count Saknussemm, the murderer of Professor Göteborg, and he's very much alive. Saknussemm believes the descent belongs to him. As the descendant of the original Saknussemm, he claims the right to finish the journey alone. He offers Alec a choice: join him or be left behind. Alec refuses. He slowly backs away. That's when Saknussemm pulls a gun. The shot explodes through the cavern, echoing endlessly through the earth. The gunshot echoes through the tunnels, sharp, unmistakable. Lindenbrook doesn't hesitate. He turns toward the sound, calculating the direction like a man born in an echo chamber. They sprint through the winding passageways and finally find Alec. He's on the ground, wounded but conscious. The bullet hit his hand, bloody, painful, but not fatal. Relief crashes over the group. He's alive, but there's no time to celebrate. Count Saknussemm steps into view, gun still raised. He lays out his demands, cold and confident. He wants them to abandon the expedition, leave him supplies, and hand over Hans, their guide. Yes, the duck guy, or else. Lindenbrook doesn't flinch. He plays along, nods, steps forward. Then, bam! Throws a handful of salt straight into Saknussemm's eyes. The Count screams. In the chaos, Lindenbrook grabs the gun and turns the tables. Then he calls everyone in. "We're holding court," he says, like it's totally normal to start a trial in a volcanic murder cave. Each person speaks: Hans, Carla, Alec. "Guilty." Lindenbrook nods. Count Saknussemm is sentenced to death. And no, that's not hyperbole. That's just how science rolls underground. No one wants to carry out the sentence. So Count Saknussemm lives, for now. They keep him close, weaponless, under watch. Because sure, he's dangerous. But down here, the Earth itself is still the bigger threat. After the standoff, the group is shaken. They camp in a quiet cavern, trying to catch their breath. The mood is tense. Carla snaps, says she's done. She's had it with the danger, the madness, the literal attempted murder. But Lindenbrook calms her, talks her down, reminds her what they're chasing and why it matters. And just like that, the cracks hold. Meanwhile, Alec wanders off, again, because apparently that's his brand. He finds something surreal, a towering forest of giant mushrooms, otherworldly, glowing, swaying ever so slightly. He calls the others over, and they stare in wonder. For a moment, it almost feels like magic. Hans, ever practical, starts building a raft out of the mushroom stalks. If there's an underground sea ahead, they'll need it. Things start to feel calm again, peaceful, which of course is when the dinosaur shows up. Lindenbrook and Saknussemm spot it first, a Dimetrodon, massive and hissing, teeth like daggers. It charges. They don't wait. They sprint for the water, no plan, no direction, just away. Because sometimes science is less about discovery and more about not getting eaten. Once the Dimetrodon finally slinks off, Lindenbrook and Saknussemm don't waste a second. They bolt back to the others to warn them. But it's already too late. The first one was just the scout. A whole pack of Dimetrodons is closing in, snarling, stomping fast. Panic hits like a shockwave. Everyone scrambles to launch the raft. Carla stumbles. Her foot catches. She crashes to the ground. One of the creatures charges. And Hans? Hans doesn't hesitate. He hurls a spear mid-stride. It hits, hard. The Dimetrodon drops. The others pause just long enough for the team to drag Carla up and shove off, paddling with everything they've got. Water churns behind them as they sail out into the vast underground sea, glowing, endless, eerily calm. No more claws, no more hissing. Just the creak of the raft, the slap of water, and the sound of breath finally returning to their lungs. They're soaked, bruised, still shaken. But they've made it out. For now, things only get weirder out on the underground sea. At first, it's just small stuff. Tools, lanterns, bits of gear, vanishing. One by one, their belongings seem to be pulled away. No splash, no warning, just gone. Hans mutters something under his breath. It's like the ocean is alive. The team clutches what they can, knuckles white against the raft. Then the water shifts. The raft begins to spin, slowly at first, then faster, much faster. They're caught in a massive whirlpool. Waves slam into them from every side. The current yanks at their arms, their legs, their gear. The raft groans, threatening to break apart. Lindenbrook grips the edge, watching the water with laser focus. He puts it together. This isn't just a whirlpool. This is it, the center of the Earth. A place where magnetic forces collide. North and south fighting for dominance. So strong they're pulling the gold from their rings, the fillings from their teeth. Even metal doesn't want to stay put down here. They finally break free from the whirlpool, barely holding the raft together, and crash into the far shore, exhausted, soaked, shaking, but alive. They drag themselves onto the rocky bank. For now, the chaos is behind them. Night falls in the underworld. While the others sleep, Saknussemm wanders off. Hungry, and when morning comes, Gertrude, the team's loyal duck, unreasonably brave, deeply underrated, is gone. Hans finds what's left, and when he sees Saknussemm, he knows. Fury explodes. He lunges. They fight, wild, furious, no strategy, just rage. In the struggle, Saknussemm stumbles backward, right into a massive stone column. It collapses. And just like that, he's buried, gone. The man who betrayed, murdered, threatened, and ate the duck is erased by the earth itself. The group stares at the wreckage. No one says much. Then, just beyond the fallen stones, they see something impossible. Ruins. An ancient city, sunken and silent. Stone streets, crumbling towers, bathed in a faint otherworldly glow. Atlantis. They step carefully through the remains, awestruck. And then they find it. The skeleton of Arne Saknussemm himself, arm outstretched, pointing toward a narrow volcanic chimney. Lindenbrook feels the updraft. It's their way out. Almost. Because a massive boulder blocks the path. And time is running out. The path is blocked. No time. No way around. So Lindenbrook makes a decision. They'll blow it up. Using the last of Saknussemm's gunpowder, they pack the blockage tight. One shot. No guarantees. The team huddles inside a massive stone altar, bowl-shaped, ancient, and just big enough to shield them. Lindenbrook lights the fuse. The explosion rips through the cavern. Stone shatters. Air bends. And that's when things get worse. A massive lizard, some prehistoric survivor, lunges from the shadows, jaws wide. But it's too late. The explosion uncorks the earth. Lava erupts from the chimney, swallowing the creature in a flood of molten fire. The altar bowl begins to rise. At first, it lifts slowly, then faster, then impossibly fast. The bowl surges upward on a column of liquid rock. Like a natural elevator on fire, the heat is blinding. The walls blur, the sound is deafening, and then they're out. The bowl explodes from the volcano like a stone cannonball and crashes down on solid ground, tossing them across the earth like rag dolls. They hit the dirt, battered, shaking, alive. They've made it from the center of the earth. Back to the surface. Back in Edinburgh, the streets erupt. Cheers. Crowds. A hero's welcome. They left as rumors. They return as legends. Lindenbrook steps forward, ready to speak. But he turns down the praise. Most of their records were lost. Their samples, gone. What they found can't be measured in trophies. But he urges the next generation to keep digging, literally and figuratively, to ask the hard questions, to chase the impossible. Alec does what any sensible adventurer would do after fighting lizards and falling through the earth. He marries Jenny. A quiet life. A future. Something to build. And Lindenbrook? He shares a quiet moment with Carla. After everything they've survived, loss, danger, volcanoes, salt pits, one murder trial, and a duck-related tragedy, they lean in. It's not just a kiss, it's a promise. There's still more ahead. But for now, there's peace. Because even in the deepest parts of the earth, through fear and fire and everything unknown, what survived was love. And also Hans. But mostly love. This story may be fiction, but the spark behind it? That was real. Jules Verne wrote Journey to the Center of the Earth in a time when scientists were still arguing over what was beneath our feet: lava, caverns, oceans, monsters. No one really knew. And while Lindenbrook and his team never existed, the spirit that drove them? The courage to dive into the unknown, not for riches or fame, but for knowledge. That's real. They remind us that exploration isn't about maps or medals. It's about asking the question, what if? And being bold enough to go find the answer. Now let's go behind the scenes. The massive underground sets built for this film were some of the largest ever constructed at the time, covering multiple sound stages. The giant mushroom forest and underground sea were achieved through a combination of oversized props and forced perspective, creating spaces that felt impossibly large on screen. Also, Gertrude the duck. That was actually several different ducks because the original kept wandering off set. The filmmakers eventually had to hire a dedicated duck wrangler just to keep their feathered star in frame. Apparently, even in 1959, working with animals was the hardest part of making movies. If this journey into the impossible moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more classic adventure stories that push the limits of imagination. We're diving deep into the films that inspired generations of explorers, scientists, and dreamers, one incredible story at a time. Trust me, where we're going next is just as wild.